Hi, Loretta. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? I just want to make sure everything is working correctly because today I'm on my computer. Can you guys just let me know if you can hear me? Hi, Jackie. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Karen. Hi, Mike. Thank you. It's so hard because I'm so used to Zoom and I don't have I don't have anybody to look at but me. So I'm not used to doing the live feed here yet. So we're gonna let a couple more people come on and then I'm gonna get going. Lots of stuff going on, lots of big energy. So I'm very grateful for all of you joining me to talk about what's going on. Hi, Joyce, Loretta. Hey, Kathy. How are you? Thank you for joining in today. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Hey, Gina. Thank you for joining. So I hope you guys got to go out. It's been a beautiful day. Hey, sister. Hey, Bobby. What's going on, girl? Stephanie. Hey, everybody. So we're going to get started in a few minutes. Lots of stuff going on. Yes, you're welcome, Joyce. My pleasure. Thank you, Josie. I'm grateful for you too. Lots of stuff going on. Big energy. And I just wanted to give some support. I know I do this in my classes all the time and of course in private sessions, but really felt like I needed to come in and share with you guys what's taking place in not only in our physical bodies, but also in the collective experience. And so I wanted to just, hey, Christine, I just wanted to give you guys, a little bit of support here. So that's my intention for this. All right. So, hey, Kim, thank you for joining. So I'm gonna get rolling because I'm recording this and you guys will have the playback to listen to. And as I mentioned in the little blurb that I wrote up, I want to be able to answer questions. So if you have something that's taking place with you, I would like to be able to try and answer that for you to the best of my ability. And let's see how much we can cover today in this session. All right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the energy and what's happening with the energy. But before I do that, I want to share with you something that took place during a meditation that I had a couple weeks ago that I don't think I shared in any of my classes. And so what happens with me is some of you already know this. Hey, Mary. Some of you already know this from working with me or taking classes that I have a tendency to work with many of you in your dreams. And we're doing, a lot of high level work. Sometimes it's to come together and figure something out. And other times it's because we're working on advancing our skill level for our personal ascension process. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Kim. And so what happens is, a majority of the time I'm working in the Akashic records. I'm in the halls of Amente and working in the Akashic records. Many times I will wake up in the morning having a memory of being in the Akashic records and actually hear pieces of a conversation that I'm having as I'm coming into waking state, talking to Gaia or talking to other beings as we're working through alchemizing the Akashic records, right? And what that means really is that our physical bodies carry in its cellular DNA records of our lifetimes, our incarnations, and it carries the records of the Akash. And so, what's taking place now with all of these big energies that we're living in, working in, playing in, is that these records are needing to clear our physical form, okay? And so that's why these energies are feeling so intense for us. And the reason for this is because the Akashic records have always been tied to the third dimensional field that we've always operated in. And if you listened to my last live that I did, I talked a little bit about how that third dimension is virtually gone from Gaia. The only place it's really still left intact, if you could say that, would be in our physical fields, right? And those of us that have been doing our work to raise our vibration and to ascend our consciousness have done more work within our spiritual body, our energy body, to assist ourselves and support ourselves with clearing that density from our field, the third density. And so what's happening is, because the third dimension is virtually gone from Gaia, and we're still clearing it in our fields, we're feeling all of that energy, because it's all frequency, right, being pulled out of our field. And how it's coming up now is that we are experiencing this situation that we're all in with COVID-19 and feeling some restriction in not being able to move about. And so, because we're not being able to move about and we're feeling restricted, we're feeling like we might not be in control, right? And if you think about it, those timelines from the past, those incarnations that we've all had where we were restricted in some way, shape, or form, right? Where whether it was us doing the restricting as the perpetrator or somebody else being restrictive with us, and in another incarnation or even in this lifetime, that's coming up for us now as an emotion, right? Because everything is frequency. Our body's a frequency, and I'm going to go into explaining that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about healing, healing our bodies, and how we can stay in a higher vibration during this situation that we're in, right? And so what's happening is we're all feeling this lower dense energy, this lower dense frequency coming to the surface in our field. And that's happening for a number of reasons. One of those reasons is because for a long time now, for the last 7 years, but more pronounced, if you will, these last 2 years, we're feeling the sun changing. And the sun has been bringing in something called photonic light. Now, some of you I know from working with me will be aware of this, but others of you that are not sure what photonic light is, it's a light frequency that is coming from our sun, from Solaris. And this light, being a frequency, is a very, very high vibrational frequency, something that we're not used to because we're all used to having been playing in the density of the third dimension. So if you think about it from the perspective of, that density being in our field from third dimension, and then this very high frequency light coming from our sun, which is really coming from the galactic center, coming through our sun to us, coming in and hitting our energetic field, our electromagnetic field, and then hitting our physical body as it comes through the etheric layer. And that high frequency light feeling very uncomfortable to us. And because photonic light is a light that is living consciousness, it will come into the physical body and actually, because it's living consciousness, bring up whatever density is needing to clear. So it will bend that information, bring that dense frequency to the surface, right? And when this happens in our body, that amount of energy that is needed, that is taking place for this to happen, is so incredibly huge, it actually makes us feel sleepy. And that's where the feeling of being foggy or groggy, not being clear-headed, not being able to remember, something that you knew 2 seconds ago, because the amount of energy that your body is shifting as the photonic light is coming in is making you feel tired, because your body is now working to release that third density, to release that heavy, dense energy, that frequency from your field. And so this is what's been taking place for a very long time now with all of us on the earth, not just me, right? But all of us on the earth. And so many have been feeling it and have been confused as to why they're feeling complete exhaustion lately. Why in the middle of the day you just feel like you crash and nothing is helping. You have coffee and the caffeine from coffee isn't doing it anymore, or you're eating a piece of chocolate or something sweet and the sugar is not doing it anymore. And it's really because we're interacting with all of this light, this photonic light that's coming in. So the photonic light is that living consciousness light that puts us to sleep. And then on those days or those nights, because mostly you're going to really feel this energetic interplay at night, because it's quiet at night for us as we're sleeping, and there's not a lot of noise from people being active like it is during the day. You have cars running and people going about their day working, and your mind is consumed with the things that you need to do, either to get for your house or for your kids or whatever. And so at night when we lay down to sleep, our thoughts calm down and we can tune in more. That's why we can be more psychically connected at night while we're just in a period of rest, right? We could tune in and hear our guides or our team much better at night. Well, at night, we're also more in tune to these energetic frequencies that are coming in. And so on the nights where you're finding it very difficult to sleep, and I know some of you were feeling that the last couple of days, where you felt like you might have had insomnia, that energy that's coming in is gamma. And gamma energy, when it comes into the body, it feels like you're on electrical stim. So if you've ever gone to the chiropractor and he's put stim on you and you feel those little electrical currents running through your body, that's what gamma feels like. And it's very interesting is when it comes in, it goes right down the extremities. So most people feel it in their arms or in their legs more than they feel it anywhere else. And it can make you feel like your heart is racing or you're having palpitations, right? And it makes you feel very amplified. And so it also creates insomnia. And the reason for this is because uh, gamma, when it comes in, is working through the immune system and the neurological system. Okay. And so what it's doing, again, along the lines of photonic light, is it's working with your infrastructure, your neurological infrastructure and your immune system to kind of tighten things up and support where maybe healing is needed, right? And so when you are finding yourself on the ever ready go charge, right? Like the ever ready rabbit, where all you want to do is create and do things, and you find yourself you can't sleep, then that's what you should be doing. You should be doing stuff and creating. And if your work is based on stuff like my work is based on where I'm needing to write to give updates to you guys, or maybe you're someone that is wanting to write a book. When you feel these charges of gamma come through and you're finding yourself not able to sleep, write, or draw or paint, right? When we're creative, creativity brings us right up into 5D. So when we're feeling that creative surge, it's activating right brain consciousness and it's bringing us up into our 5D state of being, right? Because left brain is analytical, 3D. It's where we've always been. So anytime you're feeling that creative surge is going to take you right into 5D, right? That's where we want to be. So those are two of the energies that have been coming in that we've been interacting with, along with some of the rainbow light. And I know many of you have been seeing the rainbows in the sky, the rainbow prisms in the sun. So you take a picture and around the sun, you're seeing beautiful rainbow light, or sometimes the clouds will be around the sun and then you'll see some amazing rainbow light in around the clouds, right? That's another type of light that's coming in now from the sun. And the rainbow light frequency is actually our 4D bridge between 3D and 5D. So that 4D bridge, if you think about 4D is actually the astral plane. 4D is heart consciousness, right? It's the fourth chakra. So if you think about it from the perspective of 4D being the astral plane connection, it's also opened up the pathway for those who are not meant to stay here to do their physical ascension work here on the earth plane, for them to be able to transition over so that they can go off and do whatever they're meant to do. Because you have to remember, each of us is here to do what we came to do as a soul. So this is all based at the soul level, right? And it's really important for us to have that awareness or have that information, because we're all on our own separate timeline, right? Even if you want your family member or sibling to be on the same path as you, to be in the same like-mindedness as you, every single person is on a different path. And so we have to honor where each other is. And it's not a race to get anywhere, and it's not a judgment. If someone is, not working their spiritual ascension, their conscious evolution, then we can't judge them for that, because that's where they're able to be in this moment. We have to give them love anyway, right? So that 4D rainbow light frequency is opening the pathway for us to have that bridge, if our soul has decided it's taking an exit and it's going to transition. And so another light that we have that we've been interacting with is diamond light, which are activating diamond light codes in the heart center, right? Which is all helping with the expansion of the heart center, helping us be more in our spiritual alignment. Those of you that may have just found yourselves within the last couple of months suddenly having a shift deeper into your spiritual evolution, into your ascension, into your awakening, may have activated some of those light codes coming in for diamond light frequency. And that puts you more in touch with yourself in a state of self-love, right? So, and that's what that does. And that goes and takes us into heart expansion. And then we have another frequency of light. And this one is probably the one that that we've been really noticing a lot of lately, which is plasma, right? And so the plasma light, when that comes through, that plasma frequency, for me, when it comes through like Roto-Rooter, going through the body. And so any place in the body where the photonic light came in and pulled the distortions, pulled those negative dense energies to the surface, the plasma light comes in like the Roto-Rooter drain cleaner and wants to pull that energy out of the body, wants to shift that energy or transition that energy. And many of you are feeling that with some issues with digestion, right? Where you're experiencing your stomach gurgling quite often. And so that's one of the ways, right, that we're noticing it, because it's really coming through the body and it's affecting the digestive system. Some of you might have noticed that your food intake is changing. Maybe you can't eat as much as you used to. You're eating smaller amounts of food. Maybe you're noticing that your food is changing. About, I think it was maybe 3 years ago, I went to a vegetarian diet. I gave up meat and ate mostly fish if I was craving meat, but mostly vegetables. And then I found that I was having to give up dairy because dairy wasn't helping me. It wasn't feeling good anymore. So I let dairy go. And so when plasma comes through, plasma energy, it can also shake us up. I noticed that what I didn't realize before, but I started to notice now, is when we get these big influxes of plasma energy come in, I notice that the house creaks. So my house will creak at the same time I feel what feels like a blast to my body. I will feel it go right through me, boom, like a big, yeah. So, and then when that happens, it feels like a plasma burst of plasma energy hits my electromagnetic field and disperses, right? And so sometimes some of us might be noticing that, and then you'll feel anxious. And mostly this will happen at night. When you feel this, you'll feel anxious. And then as you're feeling anxious, your body begins to vibrate, right? So you become like one big vibrator, head to toe. And as your body is vibrating, what that's doing is that is creating more releases from the physical container, right? From our body, our physical body. And it's raising our vibration, helping to raise our frequency, because everything is a frequency and everything is a consciousness, and light is consciousness, and we're consciousness. And so that plasma light comes through and it's helping us to be more aligned with our soul and our soul purpose and our soul mission, right? And so what it's doing is it's bridging the gap between our physical experience and our soul experience. So it's kind of merging the two, okay? And so this is really very important information for us to have, because when this is taking place, all of this energy, all of this interaction that we're having, it's creating an opportunity for us to go into our embodiment phase. And embodiment is when you allow yourself to be in more of a 5D consciousness, where you're in a state of neutrality, where things don't really affect you as much anymore, or bother you as much anymore. And if you think about it in this way, right, every dimension that we're experiencing, we're every day we're going from between third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, back down to third, back up to fifth, then to fourth, then to fifth, then to third, and this is happening all day long without us realizing it, right? And so third dimension is where we get triggered by something and we find ourselves incredibly angry over whatever it was that we experienced, right? That is going back down into third dimension. And then when you go, oh, I was just triggered by something. All right, let me shift myself back up. All right, good job for being triggered. I'm in my awareness. Good job for holding awareness. Now I have to shift upward. Now you're back up in 4D, right? Because 4D is a little 3D and it's a little 5D, right? So this is really important because it will show you each day where you are in the work, where you are in your process, right? And so there is no judgment. We have to let go of where we are holding judgment because there is none and there's no room for any. And we cannot be judging each other. We cannot be judging ourselves, right? I see this a lot in the spiritual community. There's nobody that has this right, not even me. I'm giving you everything that I know that comes through my higher realm, that comes through my higher selves. I'm aware of 4 of them that have come in and anchored in. I'm in divine neutrality most of the time. Can I get triggered by something? Yeah, but I go back up into 5D, right? So it's process that we have to engage ourselves in, right? We can't expect to just be in a 5D state of consciousness. It's a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. So we can't, 1, take ourselves too seriously, and 2, hold any kind of judgment toward ourselves because we're doing the best we can. I think Dawn Marie just said that. We're all doing the best we can, right? Yeah, David, you're right on point. Moving from less carbs to more healthy foods. And yeah, Kathy, yep, if you're noticing the creaking has a lot to do with that plasma energy. Yeah. And the more you guys stay tuned in and start to take this information in, you're going to start to notice things more and more. This is how we raise our frequency, how we raise our vibration, how we become more aware of everything that is here to support us, right? I miss you too, Deborah. Thank you. Yeah. So, this is what's taking place here within our day-to-day experience that we might not even be aware of, right? So in case I haven't said it, I just want to say again, thank you to everybody who's on here, who is joining me. We have a lot to get through, so I'm going to do my best, and I promise I'm going to take your questions, and I'm going to try to scroll back. I don't look at the comments while I'm speaking because I'm trying to stay in the higher realm so I could bring through what's needed for the collective of this group and anybody that's going to tune in afterwards. Okay, so just bear with me. Yeah, Jackie, definitely headaches. So headaches is, tied in, right? So we're not calling them symptoms, ascension symptoms. We want to move away from that, right? I like the word upgrades better. So ascension upgrades, or spiritual evolution upgrades, or consciousness upgrades, whatever you guys want to say. But headaches a big part of it. And the reason for the headaches, I could tell you, going back to probably 2012, 2013, right? 2012 was when we activated that whole shift with Gaia, when Gaia on December 21st, 2012, decided that she was ready to do her spiritual evolution, right? The embodiment, the soul embodiment of Gaia back on December 21st, 2012. That was where she decided to do her spiritual evolution. She's doing her physical evolution now, right? So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's when she decided to do her spiritual evolution. Now, I've been aware of ascension since probably, I want to say 97. I've been awake since I'm 4, or that I have an awareness of, but 97 is probably when I started to become aware of ascension, right? And so as we're going through our process, this last 7 years has been intense because this has been the gateway that we've been coming through, the corridor, if you will, for our spiritual evolution through humanity on the earth, right? And so going back to 2012, 2013, I had these insane headaches. Never had a headache ever for a day in my life, like never had a headache. And then I found I was having all of these crazy migraine headaches, and right in my third eye area, going across both eyes. There were days I couldn't see. And all of that, what I realized was for expansion, right? My crown was expanding, my crown chakra was expanding. And those headaches were letting me know that I needed to rest. I needed to stop what I was doing, and I needed to rest. One of the most important things for us that we have a hard time with, and I see this in my client sessions over and over again, is in feeling guilty, right? So we've kind of come up in a society that believed that if we weren't busy 24/7, and if we weren't working 24/7, or we weren't engaged in something, doing something, anything, right? Your parents would say to you, don't sit around the house, get outside and do something, or go clean your room or something, right? Or if you were home from work because you didn't feel good, that was not really acceptable. So we carry a lot of guilt in our cellular memory. And this is not just from this lifetime, this is from many other incarnations, right? And but again, there is no past life. Everything is happening simultaneously because time is nonlinear, right? So if you think about everything happening now, you're going to feel it so much more in your field, in your physical body. And so one of the things we have to do is we have to work through letting go of the amount of guilt that we're feeling if we're wanting to rest, right? When I moved I don't even remember when I moved. I'm so bad with dates. I couldn't tell you what today is. So like a year ago, or a little more than a year ago, right? Last November, it would have been a year. So 2000, I guess November 2018. So when I moved and I came into this house was an opportunity for me to let go of my guilt, let go of my fear of money, right? I had like this tremendous fear of not having money. And I remember I got into this house and I wasn't here maybe 3 weeks, and I was just doing something at my computer. Meanwhile, I was booked with sessions. It was not like I was in a lack of work, but all of a sudden this emotion, this feeling came up, and I stood up from the desk I'm sitting in talking to you now, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I can't believe I moved. Because I had still been stuck living with my ex, even though I really should have been out of there a long time ago, right? But we were living separate, and he didn't bother me and I didn't bother him. And that was okay. I was still waiting for the divorce to get finalized. There was no money coming through from that. And I needed to clear that fear from my field, right? And so that was big for me because it happened to me twice. And then as fast as it came on and I felt that emotion surge within me, it just whooshed right out of my field because I wasn't stopping to judge myself. I wasn't beating myself up for how I was feeling. I wasn't making myself crazy over getting all emotion, getting stuck in the emotion. I'm going to talk about that too in a bit, right? Sorry, I'm a talker. I'm going to keep you guys here for a long time. So as long as you want to hang with me, I'm going to keep talking. So I had all of this stuff coming up, right? And so when we are needing to let go, and that's what all this light that I talked about is doing. It's helping us release and let go. The more I could get comfortable with just having the moment of crazy, having the moment of fear, having the moment of anger, frustration, sadness, whatever it was, as fast as it came up, that's how fast it left. And I remember the first time it happened, I was like, oh, what just happened? And where did it go? Because I didn't hold judgment, right? So that's really what we're needing to do. And so, all of this that's happening is really so powerful for us. It's so powerful for us, and it's here to serve us. It's here for us. It's not here to be to make a hardship for us, right? Our human mind is perceiving that. But if you could tune into your soul for just a second and really get a perspective on that, right? You would see the power that we have is just incredible. It's so incredible, right? So, and that's why I wanted to do this, because this is really where the work is, and this is really what we're needing to do. And thank you guys. I'm just looking at the comments for a second, and you guys are a gift for me too. So thank you. Sending you lots of love. But so this is where the work is, right? And the more we do the work, the more we can understand, and the better we understand all of this, the faster we can flow through this and open that pathway that will help us get to the next level, wherever that is, because we're all on a different passageway, right? So the headaches, expansion, right? When we are feeling hot and cold, right? This is a big one, another big one, right? So heat, when the body heats up, I know especially for women, this is a big one, but I have to tell you, now I'm going to my herbal medicine roots from years ago when I first studied herbal medicine. My herbal teachers would say, don't buy into the whole, what do we call that? Hot flashes, right? And so they would say, don't buy into the whole hot flash thing, right? Because hot flashes are really not real, right? There's something else going on. And I thought, like, that's really kind of interesting, right? So when I hit 50, I was like, all right, well, we'll see how this goes. And so I tell you, yeah, no hot flashes. And what I came to find out as the more I did my work and I ascended, is that every time my body was heating up and I was like, finding myself sweating, and it would last for all of a few seconds, I was going into a great state of expansion, right? My field, I was expanding, and my consciousness was expanding. My body was heating up, burning off the toxins and burning off the density and purging the density. And then when the plasma energy comes in and we are feeling it during the day more so, we'll notice everything is cold. Our hands are cold, our feet are cold, our extremities are cold, and then we have to find a means to get warm, right? And this is just how it's going. We're contracting to do more work, and then we're expanding to release, okay? So all of this is very important. Our bodies are not failing us. Even when we're sick, when we have things like, I had cancer twice. Oh, and then I had a Bartholin cyst in my Bartholin gland. And And even when we have an illness like that, our bodies are not failing us. Our body goes into crisis, and that's what an illness like that is. It goes into crisis when we're not paying attention to our life, to our body, to ourselves. This is why I keep saying we need to come into self-love, right? So Tamara, I know you're on here, and she's my stewardess, my JetBlue stewardess, and we laugh about this all the time, but it's about taking the oxygen mask, when they do the briefing on the plane, right, and putting it over your face first. And people are like, why? Shouldn't I help the person next to me? No, help you. It's about self-love. We have to help ourselves, because if you love yourself and you can't receive your own love, do you think you're going to receive somebody else's love? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think you're going to do a good job of receiving anything, because you're not learning how to be a good receiver for yourself. So important to be a good receiver, to have self-love, right? So self-love, yeah. So, one of the things about self-love, and then I really want to get back into the Akashic Records, because I somehow migrated away from there, but this is just how I go. I'm all over the place. It's that 5D, it just makes me bounce around. So self-love is really important, because self-love is how we heal the body, right? And again, going back to the herbal roots, I remember one of my very first teachers, I think Susan Weed, said, fevers are good because they help burn the toxins off, and your body knows how to heal itself. And the fever comes up so that the body can jump into action and show you that it's responding to something that is not good, that's within the body, right? But we all look at fevers as something that's really bad. But if we could relax when we're not feeling good, instead of jumping on ourselves for not feeling good, we would heal so much faster, right? Instead of beating ourselves up. And self-love is something that we really need to come back into, because self-love, when we have love for ourselves and we're bringing in that beautiful, loving energy, and we're filling our physical vessel up with that, we're filling our electromagnetic field, and in holding self-love, it's a very high frequency, light energy, right? Whatever you want to call it. Then we're bringing in more of that and magnetizing that to our field. When we're playing in lower dense grief, sadness, lack, anger, frustration, resentment, we are magnetizing dense energy to our field. We do not want to do that. When we are working within the realm of self-love and bringing in that higher light, that higher energy, frequency, whatever, we're actually helping to restore cellular balance, right? It's like our cells go to work repairing themselves. So it's super important to be able to bring self-love in, because then when you are love, you can hold love and compassion for others who cannot yet hold love and compassion for themselves, right? That's really super important. Let's go back to the Akashic Records for just a second, because this is a great place to segue back in. So a couple of weeks ago, see, I'm bad with time. A couple of weeks ago, I was doing a meditation. And like I said, I play in the Akashic Records almost every night in my dream state. And I have the awareness when I'm waking up that I was in the Akashic Records. And although, I don't say that I do that for my work, when I'm working with a client, past incarnations will come up and Akash information will come up, but it's not something that I'm doing intentionally. I just think that the higher realm brings that through. And so I was doing this meditation to see if I could get into the Akashic Records, because I was waking up like every day in a row, like for weeks, coming back from the Akash in the morning. And so this one particular night, I was doing this meditation, and after my meditation, I recorded what took place just as I came out of the meditation, and I listened back to it, and I was kind of blown away because I remember how I felt during the meditation, but I couldn't put it into words. But then I think my higher self took over, and so what my perception of that moment that I had in meditation was a disconnect from my body. So it was like my soul just drifted out of my body, left my body at the door to the halls of Amenti, and I went into the Akashic records in my soul form. And as I was in the Akashic records in this meditation, I had this incredible perception of my body. And as I looked down at my body looked like a vessel, a container, a cup. And I had a great awareness of how expansive my soul was, right? Unless you've had this experience, you wouldn't perceive or understand that your soul fills the cosmos. It literally fills the cosmos. It is huge. It's beyond belief. And so while I was in this soul form in the halls and recognizing that my body was down below, as I looked down at it, I had this tremendous awareness of where every point of pain was in my physical body. So back at that time, I had been experiencing pain in my left hip, and it was making me crazy. I was having a problem with it every night in my left hip. And I could see my physical vessel as my soul form, looking down, seeing exactly where that pain was in my left hip. It was as if my physical body became a blueprint. You know, when you see a blueprint and it's blue and it has the white lines, and you have the vertical, horizontal, and it's a whole blueprinted map. And this suddenly awareness that my body was this blueprinted container, and that I could see every point where I had pain, it also became very, very clear to me that that pain that I was experiencing, which I no longer have, but that pain that I was experiencing for a long time was created by this very dense, viscous, energetic anomaly, like a plasma energy, right? That was stuck in that area. The density of it was so overwhelming in my realization, and it just literally looked like sludge. And then as I was having that awareness, I was also having the awareness of my electromagnetic field. And that's why, those of you that have worked with me will hear me talk about that field all the time, and how it's magnetic and it magnetizes our experience of whatever it is that we're putting out there, that we're attracting back. And so in that moment, I had this most incredible awareness of my electromagnetic field magnetizing these dense, heavy, emotional situations to me. And that the reason that I couldn't heal my hip was because the density, the heaviness of that emotion that I had connected to, brought into my body and stored in a location that was very relevant to the energy of that emotion, right? So hips are about support. The right side of the body for me is about moving forward. It's also the masculine, divine masculine. It's the hunter gatherer, right? It's the doer, how we do things. But it was mostly in the hips, so it was about support. And then it was about stepping forward. So there had been a lot of things that I had not been doing for myself that my team, my higher realm, wanted me to do, like doing these live videos on Facebook, which I avoid because I hate being on video, right? And so that's something that I needed to heal, that I needed to get over. Put me on Zoom, no problem. But live Facebook, I don't know. So when I recognized that we were carrying that, and I had seen other areas of my body where I also had these dense points, in that moment of awareness, that heavy dense emotion that I was attracting in and then storing right in my hip, I also had the awareness that love is such a high light vibrational frequency that that's why it doesn't get trapped in our field. It comes in the field and it goes, and it comes in the field and it goes, right? So it doesn't get stored, doesn't get trapped. So when we're dealing with an illness in the body, we're building this illness in, right? Because no illness starts in the body. It can be perpetuated in the body through our intake of foods or our environment, right? So let's say we're in a toxic environment, or we're eating foods that are not quite high vibrational, right? But that's not what's going to make us sick. So if you look at people who are the epitome of health and are, let's say, their diet is like superb, right? And they're out there running every single day. They're running 5 miles, 10 miles, and they're like, in the most amazing shape. And they're, let's say, 30 years old, 40 years old, and they suddenly die of a heart attack. That's a couple of things going on. We probably a genetic imprint in the heart area, right? Passed down from bloodline lineage of incarnation. That's one. And then the other part of that could be that is what their soul contracted to experience. It's a soul group. It's a collective. It's at a higher point than just our soul. So it might be with the soul group, right? Cancer is often a soul group collective experience, right? When we experience cancer, and usually there's a generational imprint in the lineage. Even if it's not the same cancer, it will be, it's different cancers handed that are coming down the line. Probably another talk at another time. But anyway, so when we look at this and we look at healing the body, and when we look at how we get sick, right? It's because we're magnetizing all of this into our field, right? And I've been doing this work for 20 years and growing with it and having these new awarenesses. And each time I felt another higher self aspect come through, right? It turned on more, and working with my team, my higher realm, and that awareness. But boy, this was probably my biggest awareness yet, was when I had this out of body, this soul experience when I was in the Akash, and understanding how we magnetize illness to us because it's not born in our physical vessel. It has to break through the etheric field of our aura to come into the physical body, and then it comes in, and then it does its thing, right? So this information, this is super, super powerful. And this is the work. This is where the work is. And this is where the work has been. When I had cancer, right, both times, the first time the crisis, wake-up call, come into the work, right, because I had not been in the work. That's a long story. I'm not going to explain it. You can read about it on my website. But it called me into the work. And then when I had it 3 years later, the second time in 2004, that was the real wake-up call, where it was like, okay, I cleaned up my act. I started working out. I started eating healthy, but there's something that's missing. I'm missing something. And I was missing the emotional component, right? It married together once I got the emotional component down, and then that was it. Bye-bye cancer. That left, because I didn't have to go through that process, because I understood how I was creating the experience, because that's what the soul does. Soul incarnates, creates its blueprint at the time of incarnation to create the experience it wants to have. And then depending on how you navigate that experience depends on whether or not you feel you have gained a lesson out of it, right? Because it's really about the experience that we've come in to have. So thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. You know, the reason that you're hearing this in a different way and maybe you feel like it has a new twist is because you've activated more of your consciousness that is now taking something new in, right? And that's why I say, if you guys listen to this and it's not quite resonating with you, that's okay. Take what does and leave the rest behind. And if you find that you have to come back to it because maybe you couldn't stick around and listen to the whole thing, that's fine too. Come back. This is a frequency. I hold a frequency, right, as a frequency activator. It's part of what I do. And so it's activating those frequencies within your field that are needing to clear more out, awaken, shift, whatever. No judgment. We don't judge each other, right? So this is really where the work is. Very, very important for us to be present for ourselves and for us to show up for ourselves and participate in our experience, because that's really what this is, right? And most importantly, our body knows what it needs to do to heal. So if we could just get out of the way and just tune in and listen, you'll hear what you need to do. You'll hear what is being wanted by your body, which is why so many of us are shifting our foods. I know for myself lately, something new that is happening is my whole past, I could tell you, I was never a fan of drinking a green smoothie first thing in the morning. It's cold. I like crunchy food. Give me a piece of whole grain toast with some butter and a cup of coffee. That was always my MO, right? But then, I don't know, probably about 2-3 months after coming into the house and being able to think and being able to be present within myself, that switched. And now all I want is a green smoothie first thing in the morning, and then, I'll eat something later. And even now that's changed. And I find myself being good with that green smoothie and not really looking for anything after that or beyond that. So I'm finding I'm only eating twice a day as opposed to eating 3 times a day. And again, it's all programs running, right? Where we were programmed in school where you had breakfast before you left the house, then you got lunch at school, and then you came home and your family had dinner, right? So that's a program. So if you tune into your body and listen to your body might only want food maybe once or twice, right? So it's really important to just pay attention to everything that is taking place because our body knows what it needs to do. So let's talk for a second about this energy coming in, especially when we're feeling impacted. I know many are feeling shoulder aches, neck ache, especially behind the neck, back in that occipital place, right? That occipital bone. And down the back, a lot of times, I will have people ask me about that. And so when we're experiencing that, especially in this occipital bone in the back, it's because in our electromagnetic field, we have, we incarnated this way. We have codes that get flipped on that help our spiritual awakening, our ascension process, right? We activate each other. That's why I wanted to come on and do this talk, because in doing this talk, we're all activating each other as we're engaging with each other, right? And sharing with each other. And that's why it's important when you're passing somebody in the store, you're having eye contact, because the eye contact is where we exchange key codes with each other, right? But our electromagnetic field has codes in it. And so if you think about it from the perspective of when we're out in the sun and we're taking in the sun and suddenly our neck starts to feel better or a headache goes away, it's because Solaris, the sun, is activating those codes within us, right? And so we need to be aware of when we're having these different aches and pains, that we're not rooting into it, right? We don't want to stay stuck in the ache or the pain. We want to go, oh, wow, I woke up with a stiff neck and the back of my head hurts me, having a headache, and oh, great, I'm in expansion, right? So we want to go into upgrades, not symptoms. Oh, I'm feeling like crap today. I really don't want to be dealing with this. What that? No, got to shift out of that mentality, right? We have to look at it as everything is here to help us. So if you're feeling like you're achy, the other day I woke up, I was working all night. I remembered myself waking up in the morning, having been wherever I was, and my sides were hurting me. And so I woke up, and the first thing I did was I started flexing back and forth and twisting and bending, right? So if you've ever seen people, children with ADHD or autism, a lot of times you'll see this, they're constantly twitching, right? There's this constant, the body is constantly moving. And they're doing that because they need to adjust their field's frequency, because they come in with a higher frequency. They are holding a higher frequency. They're coming into the third density. Third density is jumping into mud. It's not like jumping into a pool of water. It's like jumping into mud. So they're not used to this. So they know how to do it. They'll move. And then we want to say, can you sit still? But no, they really can't, because they're trying to adjust their frequency, right? It's uncomfortable. Their body is uncomfortable. So this is really important stuff, guys. We got to let go of judgment of everybody, even the little ones. We have to let go of that judgment, because now we're going to see these golden children coming in who have a golden aura. They know their purpose. They come in with their mission intact, and they are wide awake. And we're seeing them coming in now. And I think they've been coming in the last so I want to say 3 or 4 years, and they're quite spectacular because they look just like a little person. They interact like a little person. They're very advanced. I know some of you guys have told me that you've had an engagement with them, but they're fun. They're so fun, and they're gonna teach you. They're here to teach you. So so everything. So when we stop taking ourselves so seriously and just start having fun with all of this and enjoying every aspect of this, oh my goodness, life is going to become so amazing, and you guys are going to see how expansive you become, right? The more I rooted into doing this work, man, each higher self that came through brought me through a new aspect for myself to work with, right? So we have to work with what's happening. So lots of aches and pains, lots of places that's hurting. Start moving, dance, that'll work it out, right? We want to move the body, and in moving the body, we're helping that energy adjust itself. We can't see, some of us might, our electromagnetic field, but this is where everything is warehoused, and we need to help shake it up, help get those key codes activated. And the other thing that I want to say here, which is super important, is to remember that your higher self will never give you more than you can handle, right? I don't care what you do to make it happen faster. Your higher self will never give you more than you can handle. So you can go and have an ayahuasca ceremony. You can do 1,001 things. You can go to an ashram in India. You can you sit in the middle of the forest, go sit on Mount Shasta in a tent. Whatever you're going to do, your higher self will not give you more than you can handle. It just will not. Okay. So this is where we all have to understand that the most important thing is that if you want to ascend your consciousness, Awareness. Awareness is key. Awareness is our superpower, to have that awareness. And in having that awareness, we will then be able to access more of our technology that we're so desperately wanting to engage in and connect to, right? We all are wanting this, not just me. I know you guys want this too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be giving up your afternoon to spend, wow, I'm on an hour already, to spend the last hour. I told you I could talk, and we're not done. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions? I think at this point, I'm going to just stop for questions, and then I'm going to go to some of the questions that I had gotten from my feeds. Thank you, Kate. I love you too. Jennifer, that's great. Yeah. And autistic kids are amazing. They're here to show us new ways of communication, right? New ways of communicating. And a lot of times what I will find is they're very connected telepathically, right? So we have to be so that's great. Yeah. And autistic kids are amazing. They're here to show us. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I hit a button. So much live. Okay. So yeah, so autistic kids are here to show us, right? Telepathy, telepathically, they are here to teach us. And so that means that we have to come into a new way of connecting with ourselves. That is going to be where we're going to need to do our work. Okay. So if you are dealing with autistic kids, then telepathy is going to be super important. Okay. Is everybody still on? Just give me a nod. Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. Live is so stressful for me, as you can see. I am in my multidimensional, extra dimensional, interdimensional self. I cannot work buttons when I'm here. That's why I like Zoom. There's nothing to touch. All right. So thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Okay. So does anybody have any questions? I'm going to take some questions, and then I am going to go just a little bit longer because I have some stuff I wanted to do, but I definitely wanted to give you guys that information because it was just pouring through, and sometimes I just have to go with what's coming in, and I can't lose my focus. So yeah, Donna, that's great. Yeah, I love that you're sitting in the sunshine. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate that. Yeah, Deborah, it will get better. The more we do the work, the better it comes, right? I have very few incidents these days, although I'm not going to say never. We're expecting some more energetic shifts. Thanks, Kim. I think it's all the energy work that I do on myself that might make that happen. So, all right. Debbie, did you have a question? Just type it in and I will, I'll answer it for you. Hey, Pam. All right. So I know, yeah, Gina, let me talk about that for a second because that's really important, right? So the veil is so super thin. I don't know that Cuomo would want me on the news with him. Thanks, Donna, but I'm not quite sure that that the government is ready for me or those of us that are doing this work. Yeah, spirit. So we're all able to access and connect to spirit very easily, like so easily now, right? Because the veil is super, super thin. And so this is something that we have to have an awareness of and just be okay with it because it's nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear, right? So if you are connecting to people that are talking about having entity attachments or connecting to lower dimensional beings who are more negative, there are two possibly more things at play here. One is their soul might have contracted for that experience, for them to connect in that way. And two, they may be operating in a lower fourth dimensional realm, because fourth dimension has a spectrum of frequencies, right? It's not just like 3D, 5D, it's 4D is the astral plane. It has many different frequencies to it. And I'm just going to say this because I get asked this question a lot. So while it's coming through, as we're sending our consciousness, we're helping our extra dimensional friends, our galactics, right? Our extraterrestrials, to ascend their consciousness as well. They want us to succeed because they need to ascend also. So we're all ascending together, not just us. All right. So there is nothing to be afraid of. Okay. We have to just, yeah. And you know what? The best person, and I wish I could bring you on here, sister, but the best person to ask about contact, about connecting in and doing that work would be Bobby Allison, of course. So we have a lot of classes that we have coming up. So, and I know she's going to be talking about that. And maybe we'll cover that in our class about raising your vibration so that you can connect in. But that fourth dimensional realm is split. So you have lower fourth dimension where the jinns, some of the lower extraterrestrial beings might still be hanging out, but probably not. The elementals are there, some fairies are there. Mostly fairies are in 5D. Is there any way to ground ourselves when we can't sleep from the energy? No, because we're not grounding anymore, right? That was the old 3D, Christine, that we want to keep ascending our consciousness. So when you're not able to sleep, that's when you're wanting to do something creative, take out your book and write. And I think that, if you journaling, right? Journaling is one of the best things. Sit at night, start writing, start connecting in, think about planning. Christine, you've been teaching some amazing classes. Start writing your next class plan, your syllabus for your next class, right? And get that out there. And sometimes, like at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and Bobby, if you have anything to add, please post it and then I'll share it. But at those hours, that's spirit working. Like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, that's your higher self poking you. Wake up, wake up. We want you to get started. You got work to do, right? So that's really important. Mentally ill adults, that's always an interesting one for me, because the soul is always in charge, and the soul chooses its experience before its incarnation here. Okay, so whatever the situation is, right? Whether we have mental illness, bipolar. So we'll talk about this very briefly for a second, but I have classes on my website that I go deeper into this. Like if you guys want to know deeper about dreams, I have that on my website, my store. Soul contracts, I go very deep into soul contracts if that's something of interest to you. And my prices, I keep them very low, $22, $33 class, so that you can participate and you're not feeling like you're being hammered financially. So, when we're looking at bipolar and we're looking at, other personality disorders, again, remember that is contracted for the experience at the soul level as soul comes in. And one of the most important things is that even if that person is operating in that conscious way or unconscious way, where there is mental illness presenting, it's the experience that they are choosing to have, and we have to just love them without judgment. That's also, so in bipolar, when there is that flip back and forth, that's those fractaled soul aspects that we're healing and clearing now on the earth at this time, right? So when we incarnate, we come down from from source through the oversoul, through the soul groups. It's a long process. I'm not going to go into it. And then we come in with more than one personality aspect of ourselves that we're needing to bring through. So for like me in this lifetime, I probably brought through every personality aspect that I held in any other incarnation where I had problems with money, because that's always been my challenge, right? And so I brought all of those through so I could heal all of them. So imagine like all of these different soul personalities on your shoulders. One is holding fear, one is holding anger, one is holding worry, one is holding greed, all of those. We're here healing them all. That's why we're alchemizing the Akash. And in doing the work that we're doing and doing our spiritual work and raising our vibration, we're healing all of those aspects of ourselves, all of those soul fractals, right? So even in situations where there might be mental illness, that's also contracted by the soul, right? So we have to hold an awareness to that, and that there's nothing wrong with the human. It's just that the personality, like I'll take me, Maria, this is my personality here, but if I had a bipolar situation going on, there might be another personality that was almost as strong as Maria that would pop in and out. And that's where the bipolar comes from. Or if multiple personalities, those people incarnate and there's no filter. So it's not just the one personality running the show, but now they got all these other personalities and they each have a say. And then one steps forward, so the main personality steps back, and then another steps forward. This is how it's working. These are soul fractals, right? So that's, we could look at that with any kind of a mental situation that's taking place. And Bobby is saying, yes, when the world is asleep, spirit has a playground with bounds. Yeah. And when we're getting sleepy after a long day, our minds quiet down and allow spirit to play in the higher realms where we are truly the purest forms of ourselves. Yeah. So when we're sleeping, our body, our physical body shuts down and goes to sleep, but our soul leaves, our spirit leaves through our heart center, which is why this heart center is so important. It's the topic right now because we're in soul embodiment. We have to open our heart center. That's why you'll see me and a whole bunch of other people posting about higher heart experiences, because that's where we're wanting to leave from, so that we can expand our heart consciousness, right? And at night when we're sleeping and we're going into dream state, that's our soul exiting fourth dimensional astral realm as it goes up and out of the body. And then, like Bobby said, we go and we play. We play in other realms. We connect to other souls. I cannot tell you how many times people that I'm working with, whether they're students or clients or anything else, will come to me in dreams, and I'm working with them in dreams. I will oftentimes get visits from souls before they even come to see me for a session, and we're engaging in a conversation. And the soul does this for so many different reasons. I don't want to get sidetracked down that road, but the soul does this for so many different reasons. And the anxiety and depression, Gina, is because you're not staying in your present moment. You're not staying present in your awareness of being you, right? So anxiety is we're going out in the future. Depression is going into the past. There's nothing there to attach to from the past anymore. The soul recognizes there's nothing there. The mind is not wanting to recognize that. So it's still filtering through the picture of what was, as your body is then trying to assist the mind in creating an emotion to go with it. There's nothing there to attach to. So you get depressed because there's nothing there. And in likeness, when we get anxiety, it's because our thoughts are all the way out in the future. And I said this the other night, right? So they show me thoughts being like a sprinter, and your thoughts, like they're electric, boom, fast. they're out of your electromagnetic field all the way down a year from now, and your emotions, because they're heavy and dense, have a harder time leaving your electromagnetic field. And emotions, they show me like a sumo wrestler, right? So that heavy, big sumo wrestler can't catch that sprinter, no matter how much you want to. So you're building that emotion, building that emotion, building that emotion, and after a while, it gives you this anxiety, this agitation, because you're trying to catch that sprinter. Okay, so I hope that helps you. But that's the picture that they give me. Yeah, it will feel like your head is cracking open, Loretta, most definitely. And I'm sorry, but did you say you were a painter? Is that what you posted before? I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye. That's that 5D consciousness expanding, right? Crown expansion. And what we're doing in that case is we're merging the hemispheres of the brain, right? So when we're having these intense headaches, we're merging the two halves of our brains. And the thing that you could do is, if you think about infinity, right, the infinity sign, take a golden infinity loop and take that golden infinity loop and just loop it back and forth between the two halves of your brain, and see if that helps you with the headaches, because that always helped me. So I would see a gold infinity loop and then just loop it back and forth between the two hemispheres of my brain to just help with that merge process. Because you have to remember, we are recreating our physical body. Okay, yes, the artist. Okay, good. Yeah. So that's what you want to do, because now you're accessing, or because you're a painter, you're already in that expressive 5D consciousness. So you want to merge those two. So that golden infinity loop, use that. I love it. It helped me when I had headaches. So try doing that. I feel like that will help you. What else did I want to talk about? Okay, so let's see. So we talked about the sun, we talked about the clouds. I'm trying to think of what I have planned for this. Higher self, right? And teeth, bones, the teeth and the bones in the body hold the deepest programming, right? The deepest programs, the deepest belief systems. So we need to understand that those of you that are going for dental work, that that's programs coming up to clear, right? So don't panic about the teeth. Those of you that are feeling achy bones, again, programs pulling out of the field. It's all happening in the electromagnetic field more so, okay? And then phlegm. The other thing that is going to be a big one is phlegm. Lots of phlegm coming up, and phlegm is also carrying programming out of the body, like nausea and vomiting, right? Nausea is when our electromagnetic field needs to stabilize. We need to come into balance, right? Which is why we're not grounding anymore, because we don't want to stop ourselves from sending our consciousness. So if you're bringing anything up and out, let it come up. Don't have judgment, right? Knees, Sally. So, knees are about flexibility moving forward, right? Because knees are attached to the legs. Legs are how we travel forward. The knees, flexibility, right? So being flexible. Jackie, teeth, dental work. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they were just telling me to mention dental work. So yeah, just try to be gentle with yourself, and just know that you're clearing programs, and try not to keep anything in, right? We don't want to be contracting. We don't want to hold on. We want to be expansive and let it all go, right? Yeah, Sally, pain. I'm just going to talk general about pain. So pain in the body, in the physical body, is when we are in resistance, right, to needing to do something or to move forward in some way, shape, or form, and we're experiencing pain. Pain is equal to resistance. We're in resistance to something that we need to do in order to move forward in our lives. So pain anywhere in the body, not just in the knees, but anywhere in the body, is about resistance to moving forward in our lives. Okay. So if you guys have any other questions, tennis elbow, again, it depends on which side of the body, but joints for me, always about flexibility, being flexible with something. If, let's say it's the left elbow and, you're feeling where you can't be that flexibility because it's the elbow. Well, maybe you're holding on to something and you're trying to drag something forward from the past that's just not working anymore, and you got to let it go. If it's the future, it could be, where you're not being flexible in the way that you're proceeding, moving forward with something that is in the future. Maybe, maybe with something that you're trying to manifest, you're constantly trying to bring that through, but like it's not working. You got to just kind of let it go, right? So think about it from that perspective. And bursitis is the same thing, Gina. It's joints, right? Joint is the wrist and the knee. It's all about being flexible in how we're moving forward, right? So that's what I want to say to that. All right, so I think I talked about almost everything that I want to talk about. Kim, dreams are very, very vivid, can't even talk. And yes, they're going to become even more easier to remember because we are more lucid dreaming than ever before. And it's important to have that awareness that we are lucid dreaming. We are no longer dreaming like our dreams of the past, but instead we are actually clearing our Akash in our dreams. So sometimes you will have a dream and it will feel as though it's you in this now moment. However, you or somebody else or doing something else, right? That's another timeline where your consciousness is not present because your consciousness is present here and now on this timeline, right? But that timeline that you did not choose because you chose to be here right now, right? That was a timeline potential at the time. You said, oh, I could choose to do A, B, C, or D. I think I'm going to choose C. So you chose C, your consciousness went to C, but A, B, and D are still playing out for you. So we're clearing and healing A, B, and D in our sleep, right? So it would feel like it's a dream, but it's not a dream because it feels like now, right? So hopefully that answered your question. Donna, how can we be calming influenced by? Yes, that's the next topic. Very good. See, girl, you were connecting with me. Okay, so yeah, I want to talk about that because there's a lot of people that are having fear right now. And this is one of the questions that I was actually asked from the last live that I did, was people wanting to know, when I have a family member, a loved one, or a friend or a coworker whose belief and understanding is different than mine, and they are wanting to talk to me, wanting to connect to me, and they're coming from a place of fear, what can I do to handle that, right? And so one of the things that we could do is something I did talk about on the last live, which is becoming extremely present for ourselves, right? So holding an awareness of the person that is presenting in our reality. In other words, we want to become a conscious observer, and we want to go into awareness and be in complete awareness of what's taking place in our reality. And the reason that that is so important is because if we put ourselves in a present state of being, then we will not jump into reactive mode, right? Reactive mode is defensive. We don't want to go into defense mode. We have somebody presenting to us who is in a heightened state of fear, heightened state of anger, heightened state of confusion, we want to go into response mode, and we can only be a good responder. Mike, I don't know, I'm thinking of you right now because the EMT, but we will only be a good responder if we can stay present and focused, right? So we need to be present for that person so that we can show up and be our best self. And then if we are present, we're going to be in our higher state of consciousness and not be reactive to what is presenting. Now, it's not our job to shift them. It's not our job to convince anybody that they shouldn't be afraid. It's not our job to change someone's feelings. It's not our job. Our job is to be a placeholder for calm. And Donna, if you're doing that, that's great. If they ask you why you have no fear, you can say to them, because I am in complete and full awareness of everything that is going on, and I feel very in control of my reality. The only reason somebody is going to present to you in a state of fear is because they feel like they are not in control of their reality, right? They're not in control of what's happening around them. So if you think about it from the perspective of what's playing out and how they're asking us to be in quarantine, then you will see that that will make people feel very locked up, very locked in. They will feel like they have no control over their lives. They will suddenly go into and root into a place of fear. And now they are holding that fear, and that fear, and this is really important, is a collective consciousness. That fear that they are holding is a consciousness. And in them holding the consciousness of fear, what they are also doing is they are tapping into the collective consciousness of every single person on the earth that is also holding fear. So now that fear that they are holding within their physical form is being magnetized by the fear of the collective consciousness. So it's no longer just them that is being presented to you. It is a magnetized version of their fear. So I hope that makes sense. So we want to stay as present as we can, stay in our calm. And if somebody comes to you and says to you, well, how could you be so calm? How come you're not freaking out? How come this is not upsetting you? They're doing that because, one, they are not able to control how they're feeling, so they'd like you to join them. We don't do that, right? And if you join them, then you have to step out of your calm, out of your 5D state of neutrality and join them in their state of dysfunction. We don't want to do that, right? We want to be an observer always. It doesn't matter what's happening in our reality. It doesn't matter. We have to stay conscious. We have to stay present. We have to be an observer, and we cannot hold judgment. We cannot hold judgment for anybody else, and we cannot hold judgment for ourselves. So if somebody presents and they trigger you, and you find yourself starting to get angry because now you're triggered and they're pulling you out of your nice, cushy, comfortable feeling, then what you do is you stop yourself and say, I'm being triggered right now. I need to take a breath. I need to regroup myself. I need to reset. And I need to know that this is okay. I'm still operating from a human vessel. I'm operating from a human perspective. I'm allowed to be triggered. I'm allowed to not be perfect. So I hope that makes sense, right? And so if someone is coming at you and they're bringing something that's mean and they're bringing something that's nasty your way, it's not a reflection of you. What they're doing is in the mirror of you that they are looking at, they're looking at their reflection in you and they're seeing you so calm and they're saying, how can that person be so calm when I don't feel calm? They want you to join them, right? They're really not angry at you. They're angry at themselves because you're reflecting to them a place that they are not yet capable of moving into. They are not capable of having a consciousness that is calm, a place of being where they can be calm. All they know how to be in is fight or flight, right? It's our job as way showers, because that's what we're doing. We're showing the way for people. It's our job as way showers to step up even higher and say, my feet are cemented in here. I'm not shifting. If I get triggered, I'm going to close my eyes for 10 seconds, refocus, reset, take a deep breath, and then be present again. And keep doing that until you become fully present again, until you are operating from your heart center again. If somebody is ridiculing you, I see that, Kim. It is not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of where they are not loving themselves. Listen again. When you are sitting in divine neutrality, right? And you are coming from a place of love, wanting to give a compassionate ear, wanting to listen, hoping to be a bridge for that person to connect deeper within themselves. If they can't receive that, if they can't be a good receiver, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them not being a good receiver. They're not loving themselves enough to be able to receive their own love. So how could they receive yours? Go back to the beginning of this and listen to the self-love part, right? It's about being a good receiver. We have to show up for ourselves. We have to be good receivers. We do not let anybody else dictate how we're navigating through our reality. We do not. I don't let anybody else tell me how I'm supposed to be. I show up every single day, just like this. Right? And if I'm afraid of something, I push through it anyway. I did the Facebook Live the other day. I was a complete disaster because my computer wouldn't cooperate. I couldn't get Bobby on with me. We couldn't join up. And my human was freaking out a bit. And then I didn't want to do it. And I was going to do it another day. And then my guys were like, yeah, no. My higher self separated. And we're like, you're going to get this done. And you're doing it now. And I was like, oh my God, that's my Sirian aspect. Stellaria came through. Boom. You're getting it done. You're not getting another day to do this. You're doing it now. Right? So sometimes we have to put the fear aside and just show up for ourselves. I needed to show up for everybody that was wanting to be on that live transmission with me. And now I'm showing up for all of you that are wanting to be on this live transmission with me, and whoever is going to listen to this afterwards, right? And how we can help is if you feel that there was something relevant in this that resonated with you that might resonate with somebody else, please feel free to share it, right? This is free information I'm giving. I am not charging. This is like having a session with me, right? Where you're getting to ask questions and you're getting free information and you're getting support. And you're also getting an energy exchange. And I'm getting an energy exchange from you. And I'm feeling the love from all of you. And it's making me feel like, okay, when can I schedule my next live session? So, we're all in this together, working this together. It's a process of unfoldment, right? And that's how this works. So, we have to show up for ourselves. We have to be present for ourselves. We have to love ourselves through. Nobody gets to dictate for you. You dictate for you. Nobody gets to tell you how to be, how to act, how to look, how to dress. No, this is about you. It's all for you. Right? So if somebody is not holding love for you, that's okay. Meet them where they are. Be that way shower, right? I know you guys want to be light workers, but let me tell you a secret. The term light worker ended in 2012 when we had that shift, right? That 2012 shift. And now we are light bearers or light keepers, because light worker means we held the light for somebody so that they could we literally did the work. Not anymore. That contract ended. That was a soul contract. Lots of soul contracts ended December 21st, 2012, right? That was one of them. We are now light bearers. We are light keepers. We keep the light. We'll hold it for you, right? When you hear me say, I'm holding space for you, sending you love, holding space for you, what I'm saying is, I'm going to create space. I'm going to create a portal. I'm streaming my intention out there for placement for you, but you have to make the change. You have to make the shift. I'm giving you the energetic space to do that if you choose to do that, but I can't do that for you. I can't do the work for you. I can love you. I can hug you. I can hold you, but I can't do it for you. You got to do it for yourself, right? So this is the way it is. So we are all here working this together, right? So, yeah, Mike, that's a great question. Thank you. Zoom sessions, and if somebody really wants a FaceTime session, I will do that. I like Zoom because you can record it. So if somebody wanted a session with me privately to, take this to the next level, certainly, I would be more than happy to do a session. You can either book that through me or at my website. Thank you. You guys are amazing too. I love you as well. But this is the work, yeah, so now I'm going to just close with this, right? One more thing. So we have this situation that come up, right? I'm just going to give you from my perspective, my guides. They are telling me every moment of every day not to be afraid. They're telling me that we just need to just sit tight. They're like, just sit tight. This is an activation, believe it or not. That's the word they use, right? So I'm just going to give you that because that's the truth here. And I only speak the truth, okay? And so they're saying to me, this is an activation. So I said, how could this be an activation? I need to let everybody know what the heck is going on here. How could this be an activation? And they said to me, because Maria, this is every single person on the earth's dark night of the soul. So if they haven't had one, they're having it now. And the amount of fear that's purging through the collective experience is immense. It's enormous, right? So the collective purge that's taking place is super huge right now. So it's pulling out of our fields. It's pushing out of our fields. It can't exist anymore. It's not in Gaia's field. It cannot be in our fields anymore, right? So it's pushing out right now. And so this is a dark night of the soul because it's bringing up all of those Akashic timelines where we were in the Holocaust, where we were in Atlantis, where we were a survivor in some way. The term survivor is victimhood, right? If you use the term survivor, you're attaching to victimhood. You're attaching to third dimensional consciousness. We don't want to do that anymore. We got to let that go. We want to go high. We want to go into 5D, right? We want to raise our vibration so we can up level constantly. But if we're using old terminology like ascension symptoms, right? No, symptoms are 3D. No, right? Just like disease, we don't claim it. Not my disease, not my cancer, my MS, my this, my that. We don't do that. We say because it's not ours. We created it, but we are done not wanting it. I'm done with that. Move it on, right? This is where we have to pay attention. Thoughts, words, and actions. Thoughts, words, and actions. So important. If your thoughts, words, and actions are not in alignment, you're going to keep creating and manifesting the same thing over and over again. Don't do that. We don't want to do that, right? So this is where it becomes super important for us to really start to manage our human, because that ego will pop in. Its job is separation. It will pop in and it will be like, yeah, don't do that. Don't listen to what she's saying. Do you know how many times I had this with mentors? So I work with some amazing people, but I had this with mentors at times where they would be like, oh, don't feed into that. And then I would disconnect and I'd be like, why did I do that? Of course they were right. That was my ego wanting me to play that stupid game of separation because that's what the ego's job is, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Bypass the ego. Put it away. Put it in the corner. Give it something to eat. Give it a book to read. Do something. Get rid of the ego and tune into the higher self, right? Step into the higher consciousness, right? This is where the work is. So do I feel like it's going to get a little crazy around the earth? Yeah, probably, right? I was out in the grocery store the other day and lots of people, very angry, very anxious, very fear-based, right? They're all waking up. They are waking up. The collective that's here with me now, you guys, you're already in the work, right? And I love you for it because you're going to bring this forward. You're going to bring this information forward and you're going to help others, right? Like them who have not woken up yet. So we're going to be really needed. Those of us doing the work are going to be really needed to support those who are still rooted in third dimensional thinking, who are rooted in the fear factor, right? Because this is like the dark night of the soul. And it hasn't even really gotten bad yet because it hasn't really sunk into people that, the state wants us to lock ourselves in. But when that starts to hit home and it gets old after a couple of days or a week, yeah, then we're going to see a different story, right? But do I think this is going to be mad chaos? No, I really don't. I'm going to give you my honest opinion of this as my team is just telling me that that it's going to run its course. It might affect 1% of the population here. Of course, I have my own thoughts on this, which I won't share now because we're already going so long with this this live, and I don't want to keep you guys anymore. Although I love you for hanging in that long with me, but we'll be okay. We'll be okay, and we're all in this. We're cleansing. Yeah, Donna, that's a great way to put it. We're in a cleanse. We're in a reset. We're getting rid of the third dimensional, distorted, dark energy that is still held in our fields, wherever you're feeling lack, wherever you're feeling fear, where you're feeling anger. If you think about it from an incredible perspective, right? What is in shortage right now? So purification, right? Hand sanitizer. What's in shortage? Hand sanitizer, where we purify our hands. Purification is happening on the earth plane right now because everybody, even people who have never used hand sanitizer before, are becoming consumers of hand sanitizer. So look at how this is playing out, right? We're going to be okay. And I'm right here with you. And if I thought that this wasn't going to be okay, I would tell you because that's the type of person I am. I would say, guys, pack your bags. We got to go because it's not going to be okay, but it's going to be okay. We're all going to be fine. We're all going to come through this a little bit more aware, a little bit more awake, and a little bit more elevated in our consciousness, in our thinking, and in our sense of being. Okay? So I just want to leave you guys with that. And again, I have classes coming up where I teach all of this. Donna, I just love you. Thank you for joining today. I know you wanted to do this. But I thank all of you for coming in and doing this with me. But I want to just let you know that this that we just did here now is like any class that I teach, right? I have some really fun classes coming up with my sister, Bobby Allison. Check her out. If you need a reading, check her out. Amazing psychic medium, and she's doing her ascension work. So we're, taking it to the next level. More, what do you say? You guys don't want to end this? I don't know. Do you have questions? I'll take more questions if you have more questions. But yeah, I was going to end this because I'm like almost at 2 hours. Aren't you sick of hearing me? Thank you, Deborah. I love you too. Thank you, Sally. I appreciate that. But I have some fun classes coming up. I'm actually going to be doing a class, if you could believe this, because the guides want me to do this. So I worked with the Zeta Reticula when I was young, and through most of my healing work, because they would pop in to check on me. So I'm actually going to be doing a class on demystifying alien abductions. Can you believe that? So they have me doing crazy stuff like that. So stay tuned. If you are interested, please check out my website for the classes that I'm doing with my girl Bobby. And because we are doing classes, you can also find information on my services. And I hope to connect again soon. And if, like I said, if you enjoyed this, please share it with people that you think might be interested or might need to hear this, okay? Again, I'm super grateful. Love all of you. I see all of you. We are all working together. We're all interacting in dream state. And now here we come as a collective group here. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun for me. All right. See you next time. Bye.